Hey everyone, quick question. When was the last time a video game taught you something you could actually use in real life? No, I'm not talking about leveling up your thumbs or memorizing button combos, although sure, those count too. I'm talking about the kind of skills you'd brag about at your next job interview or, when your buddy asks for life advice at 2 a.m. Today, we're diving into 20 games that do more than entertain. They train you in rocket science, crisis management, ethical leadership, even small business hustle. Ever negotiated a peace treaty in Civilization 6? Or balanced your town's budget in Tropico 6 while hurricane alarms are blaring? Yeah, that's real-world strategy in pixel form. I'll share the games, the moments that made me pause the controller, and the exact aha lessons that snuck into my brain after a few hours of play. Expect a twist or two, like learning to defuse bombs with nothing but clear communication, or discovering that farming in Stardew Valley is basically an MBA in microeconomics. So, grab your controller or keyboard, settle in, and let's see which game will give you a leg up in real life, because sometimes the best classroom has graphics, not chalk. Ready? Let's jump in. Welcome to our Statska, Inspector, where every stamp means life or death. Papers, Please isn't just a game. It's an exercise in laser focus, critical thinking, and moral tug-of-war. You step into the booth, a stack of passports piled high, and each name, nationality, and expiration date becomes vital intel. Think about airport security. In real life, one tiny oversight could let a serious threat slip by. Here, you learn to scan for discrepancies. Did Ivan Petrov really arrive from Kolechia? Or did crafty smugglers doctor his papers? But it's more than bureaucracy. Every denied stamp means heartbreak. Families torn apart, refugees sent back to danger, and the gnawing question, am I doing the right thing? That tug of war between following rules and following your heart mirrors countless real-world jobs. From compliance officers to HR managers, you adapt to new regulations nightly. Suddenly, a backstory about foreign spies scratches out certain citizens, and you must pivot in seconds. Flexibility under pressure. By the time you reach day 31, you're not just stamping paper, you're weighing consequences, questioning authority, and honing an almost superhuman attention to detail. Next time you're signing a contract or filling out a tax form, you'll know the value of reading the fine print. Because in Papers, Please, missing a comma can cost lives. Imagine you're a rocket engineer with only green, googly-eyed Kerbals to trust. In Kerbal Space Program, you design, build, and launch rockets that obey, mostly, real Newtonian physics. You'll struggle through early "oops, that exploded" trials, but each failure teaches you about thrust-to-weight ratios, delta-V budgets, and orbital mechanics. Ever wondered how satellites stay in orbit? Here you'll nail transfer windows, home on maneuvers, and learn why patience matters. Burn too early and you drift off into space. Planning a moon landing, plot trajectories, calculate re-entry angles, and don't underestimate the power of a heat shield. These lessons mirror real-world aerospace projects. NASA engineers pore over test data just like you, iterating parts until success. Beyond rockets, you build space stations that require sustainable life support, mirror real-life challenges of closed ecosystems on the ISS. Your Kerbal's coalition-based teamwork, it highlights leadership, problem-solving, and the value of post-mortem. When your probe finally touches down on Duna, that rush of achievement reminds you why patience, iteration, and data-driven design matter in space and in business. War isn't an epic spectacle here. It's a daily struggle for survival. This war of mine puts you in a civilian's shoes in a besieged city. Every decision hurts. Do you risk a night raid on the supermarket to feed hungry children, or stay safe and watch them starve? These tough choices teach empathy and resource prioritization. In real crises, natural disasters, conflict zones, aid workers face the same dilemmas. When you barter a cherished family photo for a can of food, you grasp the weight of human worth beyond dollars. You learn scarcity management, how to stretch meager supplies, craft tools, and maintain morale under dire circumstances. By the end, your journal is filled with stories of sacrifice, remorse, and small victories. It's a sobering lesson in leadership, crisis management, and the human cost of survival. Skills vital for anyone in emergency services, social work, or simply caring for loved ones. What if your 9-to-5 was farming, befriending townsfolk, and mastering artisanal cheese? Stardew Valley combines resource juggling, long-term planning, and people skills. You wake up, plant seeds that take days to mature. You learn patience, scheduling, and ROI in microcosm. Hanging with Pierre at the general store or caulking secrets from the local curator teaches social dynamics, listening, remembering preferences, and genuine kindness. Managing your farm's budget, choosing which crops to invest in, and deciding between immediate profit, potatoes, versus long-term gain, fruit trees, hones financial literacy. When a freak storm wipes out half your harvest, you recalibrate, an exercise in risk management any small business owner will recognize. At the end of each in-game season, you'll walk away with sharper budgeting skills, empathy for community building, and a love for deliberate, patient progress. Just one more turn. The classic trap of Civ 6X teaches strategy on a grand scale. You pick a leader, Cleopatra, Gandhi, Teddy Roosevelt, and guide a civilization from the Stone Age to the Information Age. You negotiate alliances, trade deals, and sometimes slip into Cold War brinkmanship, all in pursuit of cultural, scientific, or military victory. Real-world parallels abound: geopolitical forecasting, resource allocation, and diplomatic nuance. When you trade your surplus iron for a neighbor's horses, you learn negotiation leverage. When you're caught off guard by an unexpected war, you see the price of poor intel and weak defenses. Crafting a tech tree strategy, prioritizing education over military sexy shiny units, mirrors corporate R&D budgeting. By game's end, whether you've constructed the wonder of Machu Picchu or launched a moon landing, you understand long-term planning, adaptability to rival strategies, and the interplay of culture, science, and power. Skills that resonate from boardrooms to international relations. Ready to become the world's worst epidemiologist? Plague Inc. flips the script. You engineer a pathogen doomed to wipe out humanity. Then watch as governments scramble to contain you. Sounds dark, right? But in mastering your microbes' transmission methods, airborne, insect-borne, bloodborne, you'll pick up crucial lessons in epidemiology and outbreak response. You start in a remote village, tweaking your microbes' traits. Do you prioritize stealth to avoid early detection? Or go loud and fast, hoping to overwhelm defenses? Each mutation point you spend teaches you about R0 incubation periods and the delicate dance between infectivity and lethality. You'll see how climate effects spread. Tropical regions fuel certain strains while colder climates hamper others. Meanwhile, the AI simulates real countries. They close borders, rally scientists to develop vaccines, and implement social distancing. You learn firsthand how contact tracing, travel bans, and healthcare capacity influence outcomes. Miss your window and governments develop cures. Game over. Win, and you've orchestrated a pandemic, an extreme but eye-opening crash course in public health strategy, resource mobilization, and global coordination. Next time you watch a documentary on real outbreaks, you'll nod knowingly at the complexities behind every headline. Ever dreamed of piloting a jetliner or gliding over the Alps in a small Cessna? Microsoft Flight Simulator hands you the yoke, complete with real-world terrain, live weather, and air traffic control chatter. It's not arcade fast. It's an exacting simulator demanding your full attention. You'll start with basic maneuvers, taxiing to the runway, mastering throttle control, flaring on final approach. Then you dive into instrument flying, read the altimeter, align with the ILS glide slope, and correct for crosswinds. When that thunderstorm pops up en route, you'll learn how to interpret meter reports and reroute to avoid turbulence. That sudden loss of an engine? Time to declare an emergency, flip on transponder 7700, and execute textbook procedures. But it's more than knobs and gauges. You plan your routes using flight planning tools, calculate fuel loads, and juggle weight and balance spreadsheets. You coordinate with virtual ATC, practicing concise, unambiguous communication. Skills vital for any high-stakes team environment, from air traffic to surgical ORs. By the time you land smoothly at a busy international airport, you'll appreciate the precision, foresight, and calm under pressure that real pilots and dispatchers live by every day. Imagine you're dropped on an alien planet with nothing but gears and conveyor belts. Factorio is your sandbox for building sprawling factories, optimizing production chains, and solving complex logistics puzzles. Think industrial engineering meets puzzle game Zen. Your first few hours, handcrafting iron gears, building a tiny workshop. Then you automate. Smelters churn out plates, inserters ferry parts, and belts weave networks. Pretty soon, you're orchestrating dozens of resource flows and monitoring bottlenecks. That sudden slowdown at your engine unit assembly, you'll diagnose throughput issues, reroute circuits, and upgrade belts, just like a supply chain manager troubleshooting a real factory. Researching new technologies unlocks faster belts, advanced circuits, and rockets. Launching your first satellite isn't just flashy, it's the culmination of years of R&D, capital investment, and iterative design. And don't forget defense. Hordes of angry aliens teach you perimeter planning, turret placement, and threat assessment under resource constraint. By the time you've automated everything to a T, you'll have internalized systems thinking, process optimization, and the art of scaling operations. A masterclass for any future engineer or operations lead. Picture this. The lunch rush is on, the ticket orders are stacking up, and your customers are hungry. In Cook, Serve, Delicious, You've got one goal: serve perfect dishes fast. You tap, swipe, and drag your way through recipes. Fry chicken, steam broccoli, garnish with parsley, all under brutal time pressure. It's a crash course in multitasking and time management. You learn to prioritize orders, the quick salads first, then the 30-second pizzas, saving the 90-second soufflés for when you've cleared the counter. Miss a step or mix up ingredients and you hear that dreaded bleep, customer dissatisfaction that chips away at your score. Beyond finger speed, you manage your restaurant's finances. Invest in better ovens, hire sous chefs, and unlock new cuisine. Sound familiar? It's Small Business 101, balancing quality with throughput, tracking expenses, and pivoting when a new food trend hits. After a few in-game days, you'll instinctively batch similar orders, schedule maintenance during downtime, and keep your cool when the kitchen explodes. Skills that translate to managing any fast-paced workplace or personal project. You have died of dysentery, a phrase burned into gaming history, but there's more here than just perils on the prairie. The Oregon Trail casts you as a 19th century wagon leader, guiding settlers to the West Coast. You allocate supplies, food, clothing, ammunition, and choose when to rest or ford rivers. Every river crossing demands risk assessment. Is the water too deep, too swift? Misjudge it, and you lose wagons, supplies, or worst, lives. Hunting for game teaches resource harvesting. Aim, shoot, and process meat to stave off starvation, but don't deplete local herds or you'll starve next week. When cholera strikes, you ration medicine, decide who gets care first, and endure the heartbreak of loss. By the journey's end, if you make it, you've mastered logistical planning, risk mitigation, and crisis triage. Professors of project management and disaster relief love this one. It's early lessons in supply chain gaps, the cost of delayed decisions, and the human side of leadership. So next time you gripe about Monday morning traffic, remember, it could be a covered wagon through uncharted wilderness. What if learning to code felt like playing a dungeon crawler? In Code Combat, you guide a hero through monsters and traps by writing real programming code, JavaScript, Python, even Lua. Move 3, attack, if enemy health, 20, spell, fireball. That's your battle plan. Every level ramps up complexity, loops to patrol corridors, functions to rescue NPCs, classes to manage gear. You debug in real time. A misplaced colon or wrong variable name means you'll get roasted by goblins. That trial and error approach mirrors actual software development. Read error messages, trace logic, and learn that perseverance and curiosity beat frustration. By Boss Fight 3, you're refactoring your code for efficiency, collaborating in clans to share strategies, and even tackling algorithm, binary search, recursion, pathfinding. When you finally automate your hero's loot gathering, you've internalized coding fundamentals that set you up to tackle real projects. Whether you dream of web development, data science, or AI research, Code Combat turns abstract concepts into empowering gameplay. Plus, you get to vanquish orcs by flexing your brain. Never gets old. Step into the shoes of a pharmaceutical CEO in Big Pharma, where every pill you design can be a blockbuster or a public health disaster. You start in a cramped lab, experimenting with basic compounds to treat common ailments. Tweaking dosages, side effects, and production costs teaches you about R&D trade-offs. Do you push for a breakthrough cancer therapy with high development costs and regulatory hurdles, or stick to generic painkillers that rake in steady profits? As your drug portfolio grows, you manage supply chains, sourcing raw materials, scaling up manufacturing lines, and ensuring quality control. A contamination scare forces you to recall shipments, slashing your bottom line and tanking public trust. That crisis management drill is pure real-world recall protocol. Trace batches, communicate transparently, and rebuild credibility. Meanwhile, marketing campaigns demand you balance ethics and earning. Do you invest in aggressive direct-to-consumer ads that boost sales but invite regulatory scrutiny? Or focus on physician outreach in medical journals? Slower growth but stronger long-term reputation. Big Pharma even simulates patent cliffs. When your exclusive rights lapse, you scramble to innovate or face generic competitors. By game's end, you've juggled clinical trials, FDA approvals, and pricing scandals, honing skills in strategic planning, stakeholder communication, and ethical leadership. Next time you pop a pill, you'll appreciate the labyrinth of decisions, costs, and compromises that brought it to market. Welcome to Tropico 6, where you're El Presidente of your own banana republic. But this isn't endless sunshine and fiestas. Behind every salsa beat is an intricate web of politics, economics, and urban design. You carve your archipelago into districts, zoning residential areas, industry, and tourist hotspots. Balancing budgets, you decide whether to funnel oil revenues into monuments or invest in schools and hospitals to keep your citizens happy. Political factions, capitalists, communists, religious groups, vie for your favor. Grant the church extra influence and you'll anger secularists. Boost the military and the environmentalists revolt. These factional tensions are a crash course in stakeholder management. Learn to read the polls, craft propaganda, and broker compromises that keep your regime stable. Infrastructure projects force tough choices too. Build a flashy cruise ship terminal to lure tourists, but that means less funding for power plants? Soon your factories stall and inflation spike. Sound familiar? It mirrors real-world municipal planning, trade-offs between economic growth and quality of life. But here's where Tropico 6 shines. Disaster scenarios. Hurricanes barrel in, flattening your carefully laid roads. You'll mobilize emergency funds, deploy repair crews, and reevaluate zoning laws in flood zones. Perfect drills in crisis response and resilience planning. By the time your golden statue of El Presidente glints in the sun, you'll have mastered budgeting, diplomacy, and the art of keeping a notoriously fickle electorate on your side. In Frostpunk, you're the leader of the last city on a frozen Earth, and it's not a tourist destination. Every sunrise, you face the brutal choice: enforce child labor to keep generators running, or risk blackout and mass hypothermia. This grim setting forces tough moral reckonings, mirroring real leadership crises where there are no good options. You manage dwindling coal supplies, decide which buildings to heat, and research technologies to stave off the cold. That choice between a steam hub for faster heating or a steam coal mine for more fuel echoes resource allocation dilemmas in energy policy. Should you drill for more oil at the expense of environmental damage, or invest in renewables that might not keep pace? Citizens petition for laws, medical inspections, curfews, extended work hours, and you weigh social stability against productivity. That petition from families begging for child labor restrictions, grant it and workforce plummets, deny it and risk rebellion. Frostpunk's lawbook is a masterclass in policy trade-offs, stakeholder negotiation, and crisis communication. Finally, each scenario's endgame tests your vision: maintain hope and rebuild society, or embrace authoritarian order for the sake of survival. By the credits, you'll have honed strategic planning, ethical leadership, and resilient decision-making, skills as vital in boardrooms as they are in bearing sub-zero winds. Building a city from scratch sounds idyllic until you're knee-deep in potholes and power shortages. SimCity teaches urban planning in glorious detail. You zone residential, commercial, and industrial areas. Then watch as your citizens move in, if you've managed pollution, traffic, and taxes correctly. Transport networks become your obsession. Lay bus routes, train tracks, and subways to ease congestion. Witnessing bumper-to-bumper gridlock at rush hour? That's Project Management 101. Analyze bottlenecks, run cost-benefit analyses for a new metro line, and phase construction to minimize disruption. Your city's budget bounces with every new park, school, and fire station, teaching you about public sector financing. A sudden crime wave forces you to allocate more to police, but doing so means cuts to education, and over time your workforce's skill level drops. SimCity models these feedback loops perfectly, showing how short-term fixes can create long-term headaches. Natural disasters, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanoes, strike without warning. You'll build disaster response plans, maintain emergency funds, and optimize building codes. Those drills and resilience planning help you think ahead for real-world contingencies, from supply chain shocks to infrastructure failures. By the time your metropolis flashes with neon at night, you've mastered urban logistics, fiscal policy, and strategic foresight, the very toolkit that modern city planners, civic engineers, and disaster response teams rely on every day. RimWorld drops you on a distant planet with 3 crash-landed colonists. You've got little more than a salvaged rifle and a burning crater. From there, it's emergent storytelling. One colonist falls into depression after losing a loved one. Another discovers a knack for surgery and becomes your chief medic. You'll prioritize chores, mining, farming, tending wounds, and build shelters to survive the harsh elements. When raiders attack, you learn about perimeter defense, choke point design, turret placement, and fallback planning. That raid teaches risk assessment. Do you invest in heavy armor and weapons now, or focus on food production before the next winter? Trade caravans teach resource evaluation, bead jewelry fetches a premium, fueling upgrades to your power grid, and research bent. Managing relations with factions mirrors real-world diplomacy. Betray a traitor and risk losing vital supplies, or maintain goodwill and secure future alliances. Above all, RimWorld's unpredictable AI storyteller weaves crises and rewards based on your playstyle, forcing you to adapt on the fly. It's a sandbox for contingency planning, human resource management, and creative problem solving. When your last colonist finally boards the escape ship, you'll realize you've sharpened leadership instincts fit for any startup, nonprofit, or exploration team venturing into the unknown. Wow, what a ride, right? Who knew that stomping pumpkins in Frostpunk could sharpen your crisis management chops? Or that juggling supply chains in Factorio might make your next group project a breeze? These aren't just epic boss battles or scenic vistas, they're secret life hack workshops disguised as games. Now I want to hear from you. Which title gave you the biggest, whoa, I can actually use this moment? Drop your stories in the comments. I'm already itching to read how you negotiated your first peace treaty in Civilization 6, or avoided a virtual budget collapse in SimCity. If you had fun and maybe learned a thing or two, hit that like button, subscribe for more unexpected insights, and ring the bell so you never miss our next deep dive into the games that level up your real life. Until next time, keep playing with purpose, and remember, the best lessons often come with a controller in hand. See you in the next video.